Women are annoying bitches, am I right? We ask questions, we put up roadblocks, we continuously test you over and over and over again, or so it may seem. But what if you were to look at all the bitchy behavior in a totally different way? Did you know that from a woman's point of view, testing is actually a form of protection? We women can't just pounce on every guy and have had to develop a fast screening process that will quickly eliminate non-viable options. I wanted to get a better understanding as to why women test men, so I decided to survey women to find out. I asked them the following questions. Number 1, do you think women purposely test men? Number 2, why do women test men? And number 3, how does a man pass a woman's tests? And I ended up getting 2,349 women to reveal why they test men. And here are some of the responses. Oksana said, in many cases, testing happens unconsciously because we do not feel confident. I would not consider this a test. Rather, questions so that I can find out more about him. A lot of these so-called tests come from being uncomfortable and nervous. To pass a woman's test, just turn it into a joke. Laughing always works. For example, do you sleep with all the girls? Sure, and with their moms and their grandmoms as well. Billy said this, I think all women test men on some level, and they should, but it's not meant to be a trick. Women are doing it to see if what they say lines up with what they actually do, either by calculation or interpretation of circumstance. There are so many men who never do. They just say. Testing can be a shortcut, so women don't have to put themselves through the experience of being disappointed. It's kind of sad. Women test men because they don't want to be hurt, waste their time on the wrong guy, and some women do play with guys. I would say that they are a very small percentage. To pass a woman's test, they need to do what they say they are going to do. Have integrity, have values closely aligned with mine, and have the same relationship goals as mine, or similar. I always watch to see if the guy will do what he says he will do. If he says he will call Thursday, he better call Thursday. If he asks me out to dinner, don't show up at my house with a 6-pack and plop on my sofa while picking up my remote control and popping one open. Yes, that has happened to me. If he asks me to go away for a weekend and I say yes, I better start seeing those plans materialize. There are understandable circumstances that could prevent a guy from following through, but generally a man should care and ensure that his word is his contract. Players make idle promises. If a man can't fulfill his promise for some legitimate reason, he needs to explain that and should not occur frequently. Sorry for the venting, but I've been pretty burned in the past, which is why I now ask a lot of questions. Anne said this, women do not test men on purpose. What men perceive as tests are women trying desperately to get their man to communicate with them and give some feedback about how they feel about their woman. Men think that because they are in a woman's presence, that's all they have to do, show up. I'm here, what else do you want me to do? Women are detail-oriented and therefore need feedback on how the relationship is going. The biggest way to do this is to ask questions that will force him to think. If I say, I'm too old for you, I'm looking to find out what his perception of me is since he isn't volunteering anything. Like that I'm pretty, you're so happy to be with me, age is just a number, anything that would help me feel more confident in your decision to choose to be with me. If I wanted a roommate, I'd be content with a man just being in my presence. But because I want a companion with back and forth interaction, I'm going to force that interaction through any communication I can get out of him. I'm not going to just ask a straightforward question like, do you think I am too old for you? Because that's a bomb waiting to explode, depending on the answer given, so I won't do that to a guy, and most likely he will not want to answer that question either. Men are funny creatures. They like to know straight up what you want, but if you take that approach, most times they run for the hills. As women, it seems we have to be incredibly in tune with our man's mood and be able to communicate with him based on that mood. Oddly enough, when women display this, they are considered moody and hard to deal with. Go figure. Diana said, yes. Women purposely test men due to their own insecurities. I only have one test, and that's regular contact. All a man has to do is see me or talk to me via text or telephone at least once a week, and he's passed. All right, she's pretty easy. Lynn said, yes, women test men. Some do it just because they can, but most do it usually from insecurity, negative past experience. For me, testing is about the guy understanding and sticking around just for a bit while I learn if he's for real. Men test women too. Lisa said this. Yes, I definitely think that some women, not all, test men. It's all about trying to get reassurance about how they feel about you. Testing the water. The answers to all of those testing questions are basically the same. They are looking for him to stand up and say, "You're the one I want." Make them feel secure and wanted, then they will stop testing. Most of the responses I received were very similar to what I've just shared with you, and I think it's really fascinating. Most women say they do test men, but it's not for the reasons that you think. Some of it was a little bit charged as well, because they've been badly burned by men, but it's still worthwhile for you to hear why women do these things, and they ultimately do it to protect themselves. It's really there to help them evaluate and see if a man is worth it. Now, the real question is, what do you do with this information? You stop being angry and you start working with women. If you already know why we are doing this, then it's easy for you to pass these tests and win with us every time. It's pretty nice to have a cheat sheet, right? So do this from now on. Take these tests as a sign that she's curious about you and wants you. So whether she asks a question or ignores you or picks a fight with you, what she's really doing is finding out if you're a solid man she can be with and trust. A little trick you can use the next time you come up against a female test is simply remain calm. The secret to passing every woman's test is to not be affected by whatever test she throws your way. The ability to remain emotionally unrattled by what we women say is super sexy. Now that you know how to pass her tests with flying colors, you need to know what to do next. I highly recommend checking out my program, How to Become a Man Women Want, because in section 3, it has an MP3 recording of me giving step-by-step instructions on how to escalate attraction once you have passed all her tests. Click here to get a copy of that right now. For more tips on how to attract, date, seduce, and get any woman you want, go to winggirldatingtips.com.